Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. It's 1090 Jake, man. I'm rocking with Charlie. Y'all rocking with me. And for this video, we're going to be speaking on a man that did 60 days inside of Rikers Island. And not scripted, not the TV show. This is why they don't film 60 Days In on Rikers Island. 60 Days In is a show about volunteers that willingly incarcerate themselves inside of jails across the U.S. Their intentions all differentiate, whether fueling an ego, challenging themselves to step out of their comfort zone, or just wanting to experience what it's like to be behind bars. The participants are briefed by jail staff on the ins and outs of jail, what to expect, and the expectations by the staff. They are to report on drugs, weapons, and whatever information the staff can use to better the jail. So all in all, they find random civilians to play undercover cop with their tails wagging from excitement up until they actually get inside of the jail. The whole dorm is equipped with cameras and mics, and all they have to do is give a sign to the camera and they can be pulled out immediately. Some quit inside of booking, or within a few days, swallowing their pride as they're pulled out, while others quit later into their 2-month stay, and a few were able to ride it out to the end. But regardless, these jails are specifically picked, and there's a reason they never picked Rikers Island. Joseph Troiano, a 28-year-old openly gay man who worked as a makeup artist and hairstylist, was sentenced to 60 days for stealing pocketbooks. Now, this wasn't voluntary. He was actually arrested and wasn't given a safe word as he was transported to the notorious island that's had a long and violent history for decades. But he did volunteer for protective custody, and I don't blame him. Gay men in jail are a target. Whether the sexual predators or inmates that discriminate against their sexual orientation, as the slightest interaction could become a deadly problem. You stare too long at somebody in jail and you're eye fucking them. It could be as simple as you were just trying to figure out what dumbass tattoo they had on their forehead, but now you're getting stabbed because he thinks you like him a little too much. Joseph was housed in a unit meant for sex offenders, snitches, and ex-gang members who were all considered targets in general population. He was 50 days into his 60-day sentence, 10 days till his release. There was a hidden pineapple snack in a container stashed in the shower, so officers wouldn't find it and throw it away. At 9:30 p.m., he went to go get it. He expected the showers to be empty and startled a 20-year-old inside of the stall with his shirt off. The 20-year-old, Kamel Taylor, said, "I ain't going to deal with this fucking shit." Joseph turned to walk out as the man charged him, Joseph raising his hand up, but he was slashed with what he believed to be a melted down piece of plastic turned into a knife.
As I turned, he reached his arm over me and slashed downward and across.
It was 2 to 3 minutes before staff would respond. Another inmate putting a cold press on Joseph's bleeding face as the 20-year-old went on to slash another inmate in the same unit, and the officer allegedly busy watching a football game. The cut was 6 inches long on his face, taking 22 stitches to close. His slasher facing a murder charge for a Brooklyn shooting. This is the reality of jail and what TV can't show you. People tell me all the time, "I don't know how you did it. I couldn't have done it." And I tell them you could have and you would have, because it isn't a fucking option. There's no signs, signals, or safe words that'll free you. You'll wake up disappointed you woke up, because it's another day in jail. Joseph's bad luck didn't end there. While 60 Days In participants were escorted to a hotel, then able to return to their families, that isn't the reality for many being released. He was slashed in 2018, lost his job, and by 2020 was homeless on the streets of New York, making headlines once again after a brutal encounter with NYPD. The body cam footage from a violent arrest in Manhattan was released to the public, showing Joseph being beaten and dragged off a train. Why? He was laying down, taking up 2 seats on a nearly empty train. As he was thrown from the train onto the platform, he was then maced before police choked him, hands around his throat. He was charged with a misdemeanor resisting arrest and a felony second-degree assault after the officer claimed Joseph kicked his hand, injuring him, when he obviously injured his own hand while beating the fuck out of Joseph. After the DA reviewed the video, they reported the felony charge would be dropped. A petty shoplifting charge would turn into a 60-day sentence, resulting in a slashing that would mentally affect a man who was released unemployed, homeless during a pandemic, and struggling to survive in a city lacking in sympathy. This is the reality of jail. The scars, both physical and mental, impacting a person's life for years to come. A for-profit system that does little to nothing for those they no longer profit off. I enjoy the jail shows like many, but I'll never confuse what's real from what sells. Now, in my experience inside of the Hillsborough County Jail, it was the same way. If there was anyone that was gay, they're labeled a punk, a sissy, and when they're inside of the dorm, pretty much the whole dorm goes against them. If you got a group of dudes in the shower or the bathroom, there's usually one or two guys that if a gay guy walks in, he'll tell him, hey, you gotta get out now. It's not an option, you know what I mean? And it's gonna get violent if he doesn't listen. So they usually listen, they walk back out. Everyone else in the dorm will go along with it because you don't wanna be the guy that's standing up for him. They're gonna think now you're one and the same with him and they won't wanna be around you. They'll treat you as if you have the fucking plague. This is just how jail is. So you just have to disassociate yourself with people. There are certain people you're not allowed to communicate with because of the title that comes with it. Because of how you can become labeled. And once you're labeled, it lasts. It doesn't matter if it was a false rumor. Once somebody says you snitched, everyone hears, oh, isn't he the guy that snitched? Doesn't matter if you really did or didn't, that label is going to stick with you. But this is a perfect example of how somebody can go to jail for something so petty. Stealing a pocketbook. Plenty of people are going to be like, well, he shouldn't have done it. I agree with you. But should he have been placed inside of a unit with someone else who's facing a murder charge? A violent offender? Should something have been done about that? Where people that aren't committing serious charges but need to go to jail aren't housed with the most dangerous within the jail. And he wasn't even in general population. Him and the killer were both in PC. So you can only think about how real 60 days in really is. I mean, aside from they're put inside of a jail and they got the little hand signals and whatever, you never see anything too crazy or extreme like this case, because if they actually had the ability to record slashings, stabbings, rapes, it wouldn't even be allowed on TV. And it gives this misconception that that is the reality of jail. You have jails that are soft, you have jails that are laid back, and then you have Rikers Island. But more importantly, jail isn't meant to be a 60-day fucking vacation, a badge of honor where you come home and you return like nothing happened. This guy's whole life has gone to shit since his incarceration, and that happens to so many people. Something will traumatize them inside of there. They'll come out, they can't function, they lost everything, and they fall back into the system, a system that will continuously profit off of you up until the day that you die. But hey, it's 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with y'all rocking with me. Till next time.